Did you know that an estimated 16,000 people last year bought a stolen car without realising it? Do you reckon you could spot one when its Nova SRI was recently stolen and recovered? But I've arranged with the authorities to have it re-registered as stolen to see if I can catch out a couple of average punters by flogging it onto them. Don't worry, I'm not actually going to go through with the sale, but I'm going to make the whole experience as realistic as possible so you know what to look out for next time you go out and buy a second-hand motor.
This car bears all the hallmarks of a vehicle that's been stolen. The cowling around the steering column was broken off to hotwire it, and the immobiliser's been bypassed too, so Ian's just taping them over. Here's where a screwdriver was forced into the quarter light to smash it, and if you look carefully, you'll even find shards of glass in the door pocket.
And as for the documentation, well, the MOT's a forgery, but I could have quite easily have got a proper MOT done myself because you don't need ID to do that. And I've made a forgery of the registration document by just using a laser printer. Not very sophisticated, I know, but how many people will actually take the time to look and spot that this is a forgery?
The true art in selling a stolen car is building up a false sense of security in the buyer. For example, the thief won't ask you to come to his house, he'll arrange to meet you in a neutral location, like a petrol station, and he'll give a good enough reason to meet you there. Or he'll very kindly offer to bring the car to your house, or even to your place of work.
A cheeky thief will go one step further and arrange for a viewing outside somebody else's house, all the time pretending it's his. In my role as dodgy vendor, I've arranged for Jason and David, two guys who think they know a bit about buying used cars, to look at this one. They'll treat it like a potential purchase, and why they might suspect something, they don't know that the Nova is registered as stolen. Will they spot the clues?
Had it for about 3 months now.
Right. So,
Just not really practical, you know, what with the baby and that, so it's got to go.
Aye, these two have a good strategy. David's soaking up everything I say while Jason's concentrating on checking the car out. I can see it's going to be pretty tough pulling the wool over their eyes, so my best bet is to keep the fake documents away from them for as long as possible.
you got all the paperwork for it?
I have, yeah. I'll pop in and get that for you in a minute.
Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, just
right.
have a dig round
Yeah.
first,
Yeah,
make
right.
sure you're happy with it.
What's that? Steering column.
Whoops, Jason spotted the bodge repair on the wheel. Time for some fast talking.
Yeah, it's good that, because I put an aftermarket steering wheel on, so I wanted a leather steering wheel, and I got my mate John to do it, and he busted the cowling off. Yeah, busted the cowling off, so I just taped it all back up, really.
Have you got the logbook so I can check the...
Yeah, I'm nipping and getting it. It's just that she's not feeling very well, so I'll just hold off for getting that in a minute. Have a look round the car, but make sure you're happy with it, and then we can go through the paperwork together if you like.
Well, I managed to stall them again, but these two are pretty persistent. I reckon I'm going to have to come clean soon, or they smell a rat.
I'll tell you what, look,
might not even know.
It'd be impossible for me to remember all these now. I'll read them
Can
out.
I just have a look at it, please?
Yeah, of course you can.
Thank you. Right.
Uh-oh, the moment of truth.
Right. This is Crossways, is it?
This is Crossways,
Right, this is your house,
Yeah.
right. We've got a hatchback in blue.
As I say, we just moved here, so...
Yeah.
Where do you move from?
We're from London, just from London.
Did you get it MOT?
No, the previous owner had it MOT'd for me. I dropped it back to him. That was part of the deal when I bought
Where
the
was
car.
he?
Where did he come from?
Yeah.
London.
So why did he have it MOT'd in Bristol? No idea?
No.
Would you, Adam and Eve it? They caught me out on a minor discrepancy on the MOT, but they failed to spot both documents were fakes. But luckily, these two have got some common sense between them and have decided to get a car data check over the phone.
Now, the vehicle has hit our stolen register.
Stolen.
Okay.
Thanks very much for your help.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You naughty boy.
I never nicked it.
I've been sus. The lads did well, but David and Jason did miss out a few things.
Shall I point them out to you?
Go on, then, please.
Number one is this jemmy point where the window was broken into, and there's no etching on it either. And the other little telltale sign we left in here, some shards of broken glass, which neither of you failed to spot, and we left that in there as well. That's where the window was broken into. But the most gobsmacking thing of all for me, and you had it in your hands, both of you, for quite some considerable time, was this. Done on a home computer.
Yeah. Lovely. You want this one? Nice work.
Scary though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not until you put it next to this that
Yeah.
you can really visually.
That's the
see
sort of thing you
difference.
only handle like once in a car's lifetime, and fill it in, put it away. But
The other thing as well, the real V5 has a watermark in it, and this one obviously doesn't. And I would have liked to have seen one of you two guys actually holding it up to the light.
Right.
And the other thing is, thank God, none of you asked me to use the toilet. Because this isn't actually my
don't
house,
even
and
live
I could
there.
have just chosen any address and told you to meet me anywhere.
just why you didn't invite us in to get the documents. Yeah.
This sort of thing usually happens to somebody who's got their heart set on a car. And the moral of the story is, don't let your heart rule your head. If you are going to buy a car like this, then please make sure that you phone either the RAC, AA or HPI for a data check. What's wrong with this picture? Perhaps you need a bit of a clue. Do you know what it is yet? Yep, you've guessed it. 2 cars for the price of 1, what's known in the trade as a cut and shut. 2 or more of the best bits are written off cars, welded together by some unscrupulous trader and then sold on as a normal car. Now with this car, it's easy to spot, but with most cut and shuts, that's not always the case. Take a look at this.
At first glance, this Volvo looks fine, but it wouldn't stand a chance in a crash. That's because it's 2 accident-damaged cars stuck together. These RAC pictures show real cut and shuts being crashed at 30 miles an hour and crumpling at the joins, because grafting 2 cars together weakens the body's basic structure.
So, could you tell if your car was the offspring of 2 mashed motors? Well, I got a couple of potential customers having a gander around the stock. In a minute, I'm going to let them have a good look around this Volvo to see if they can tell me what's wrong with it. But before I let them off the leash, I'm going to show you exactly what to look out for. The first thing to check is panel gap alignment. I shouldn't be able to get my finger in there. It starts off nice and narrow at the top and it gets wider down the bottom. So obviously there's a problem. That means the car's probably been cut across here, which makes me want to pull back this inner door rubber. And if I do pull it back, it's quite easy to spot that this has got a botched weld. So if the car's been joined across here, it's had to have been welded underneath somewhere.
Lo and behold, a very obvious shoddy weld running the width of the floor pan, confirming that this motor is indeed a cut and shut.
But will my customers be clued up enough to come to the same conclusion? There's only one way to find out. Right then, lads, out you come. How you doing?
Good, very good. How are you?
You are
Rob Lay. Nice
Rob.
to see.
Hello, Rob.
Hi,
you must be
Roger.
Roger.
Hi.
Hello, Roger. Now, what do you know about cars, you two?
Not a huge amount.
Bought and sold a few cars.
Have you? You ever had your fingers burnt?
Touch wood, no. Not
Good,
yet.
good.
Not yet.
How about you? Greasy fingernails?
Yeah, I haven't bought so many as Rob, but you know, I have had to walk away a couple of times.
Right, well, thank God you might not buy one this afternoon, because I have got this beautiful Volvo 440 for you to come and have a look at. Have you like to step this way, gentlemen?
With flat cap, of course.
With
on-
flat
on
cap,
the back
yes.
shelf, yep.
There could be something wrong with this car. There might not be.
Right.
And I'm going to leave it up to you to find out. That's
Okay,
why I
no
stuck
problem.
it up on this ramp so
Thank
you
you,
can have a good
yep.
look round underneath.
Yep.
All right, and lads,
Yep.
dig in.
Fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Right, now while these two give the car a once-over, I'm going to take on the role of the kind of dodgy car salesman who might knowingly sell a cut and shut on, just to make things a little bit more realistic.
Paperwork's in my filing cabinet, lads. It's one Vicar owner from New. Good-looking car, isn't it?
Super, absolutely
But would
gorgeous.
you want to...
Anything that sticks out to you straight away? What do you
Well,
think?
the first thing I've seen, I haven't been looking at much detail, it looks like some sort of respray. Just a little bit of running there on the paint, which suggests there's been some sort of respraying of that panel, at least.
I think somebody may have run a little bit of paint down it. It looks like nail varnish, actually.
I mean, none of the panels seem to line up, and there's been a bash on the side there. So,
Yeah, that's where the vicar's wife kept leaning her bike up against it.
So there's a choice of transport then at the vicarage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Full marks to Rob and Roger for spotting the accident repair and respray. A big clue that this car is not as tidy as it first seems.
If you put your finger under here, you can see that this is completely out with this here.
It's not really any different to that side. I mean, it's more or less the same.
It is because I can't get my finger under there, whereas I can get my whole finger under there.
You're dead right, Rob. The panel gaps on this car are all over the place, and you two must surely be building up a picture of what's wrong with this motor by now.
What does it look like around the door frames? Any evidence of spraying or welding or anything that you wouldn't expect?
Believable. No, that looks okay this side. Looks all right this side.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Would you Adam and Eve it? They missed the botched welds on the door frame because they're too polite to pull back the door rubbers. That's a public school education for you, but no one could miss the huge weld that runs under the car, surely.
How's it looking there, Roger?
A couple of welds on the exhaust, which have gone slightly rusty, but may suggest that it's part of it has been replaced at some point, but shouldn't be a problem. Can't see anything major there. Looks okay, really.
He didn't see it. That must be the worst miss since Chris Waddle put us out of the World Cup in 1990. I don't reckon these two are going to get it. So time to put them out of their misery.
Right, guys, would either of you buy this car if it was going for a song?
I would certainly seriously think about it. As I say, the main concern seems to be the bodywork on this side, but on the face of it, if the sticker price is reasonable, you'd think, yes, this is worthy of further investigation.
Well, I'm going to surprise a pair of you now. You did get underneath the car, Roger. I'm going to take your torch and your mirror again, if you'd like to follow me.
Yeah.
And this is why...
It's two cars welded together, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
This car is what's known in the trade as a cut and shut.
Yeah.
And if you look there, that is a weld mark that runs right across. Yeah. It's two different cars. Now, you did open the doors, but one thing I was a little bit amazed about, that neither of you peeled back the rubbers. You would have seen that this car has been quite badly welded here, and this is where the car was cut from. That, gentlemen, that was the original back half, which was then cut away from here and there. That was taken away, and that's what they've done to it.
Yeah, that's horrific. The consequences if you were shunted from behind. You know, bearing in mind a car like this is likely to appeal to someone who's going to do town driving, maybe carry children, babies in the back seat. It's just beyond belief, really.
This is a pretty sophisticated cut and shut, but it's still a death trap. It's estimated that up to 30,000 cut and shuts are on British roads, and cars like this account to up to 360 deaths each year. So I think you'll agree it's pretty important to be able to spot one over a decent second-hand motor. And if you're not mechanically minded enough to use the tips that I've given you today, then the AA, RAC or HPI can all do history checks to inform you whether a car has been written off. And if you're really not sure, you can pay one of the motoring organisations to do a detailed inspection. It may cost £150, but it could save your life. Ever wondered how a thief can sell on a stolen motor without being caught? Well, let me introduce you to cloning, the fastest growing motoring scam in the country. Thieves nick a motor, then disguise the fact that it's stolen by giving it the registration number and the identity of another similar looking vehicle. They do this by applying to the DVLA for replacement registration or V5 document for a car that they don't even own, often picked at random. They can then use this bogus document to sell on the stolen car. So now there are two cars driving around with the same registration number. One of them's stolen and one of them's kosher. And it's unlikely that anyone will pick this up until at least one of the cars is sold on. Sounds too simple to be true? Well, I'm going to try an experiment. I've got a registration document here for another red Ford Escort, and I'm going to turn this car into a clone of the one that's on this V5.
On a convincing clone, the vehicle identification number or VIN plate under the bonnet and corresponding number on the chassis must be changed to match the details on the V5 along with the registration plates. Any other identifying marks like etched windows and model badges are also changed or simply removed. After a morning's work, this one's ready for our little experiment.
To the trained eye, this is obviously a clone, but what would the average buyer make of it? Well, I've got a couple of average-looking guys sniffing around the stock in the showroom, and I'm going to get them out here to see if they can tell me what they think is wrong with this tidy little Escort. Right then, lads, out you come. You must be Nero. Hello, Nero. Right. How are you? Paul?
How'd you do?
How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah.
Now, tell me, what car experience have you got?
Done a bit of tinkering, old ones, new ones, may have bought a few, sold a few.
Let's have a look at your hands, yeah. You got dirt underneath your fingernails. How about you, Paul?
Bought a few, sold a few. Bought some good ones, bought some bad ones.
So you've had your fingers burnt in the past?
Unfortunately, yes.
Right, let's see what you make of my nice little Ford Escort.
All right.
Now, these two haven't got a clue what's wrong with this motor. All I've told them is that they should take a look at it as if they want to buy it. And I'm going to play devil's advocate as the car salesman from hell.
It's a bit suspicious because he's got no service history, there's no tax disc, old MOT certificates, nothing, which is a bit suspect, considering that if you look at the steering wheel, it's very shiny.
Sorry, mate, I hear the word suspect mentioned around one of my pride and bits of stock. What's wrong with it?
Well, you've got no service history on it.
It's an old car.
It's an old car, absolutely, but there's no bills either. There's no old tax discs, not even old MOTs.
Well, the previous owner just didn't give me any. Yeah. I mean, when you take a car in of this age in part exchange, really, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to get any paperwork with it.
Well done, lads. You know what general points to look out for when buying any second-hand motor, so surely it's only a matter of time before you start getting suspicious.
All right, lads. Good one. Tell me what you're up to.
this.
All right. Check the paperwork out. Just make sure you got the VIN plate there. I'm just making sure the numbers match what's on the logbook.
On the registration, always a good thing to do. SF AA XXBB AA JB 29721.
Well done.
Can you believe it? Our cloning scan seems to be working. First they fall for my conspicuously shiny vehicle identification plate, and then they're completely fooled by my bogus chassis number.
29721.
Yeah, well that matches.
And now they can't find the engine number, which we've rather ingeniously hidden, all of which should make them suspicious. But instead they've fallen for it, and now they're barking up a tree in a different county. But is Paul about to make a big discovery?
What's that bit there, Mike?
Well, that's where it had another registration number, but I think this car had a private registration number on it.
Doesn't mean broken into.
No. Or it could, the glass could have been replaced, you know, from a breakage yard. Oh dear. Now I know that cloning is hard to spot, but the re-etch windows are probably the biggest giveaway. And these two have swallowed my dodgy car dealer spill without being the least bit suspicious. It looks like they've swallowed the scam, so it's time to give them a big helping hand. You were right when you said that the VIN plate does look shiny, but it also does look genuine. We've only spent 20-25 minutes aging this VIN plate, which are easily bought over the telephone, stamped with the car's details in that we wanted to. We've stamped these details in. You've looked at the chassis number, what? How many times?
3.
And you failed to notice this. That is just filler, and there's a chassis number that we've stamped in over the top. This car, in fact, is not the car on the registration document. It's not the car that's on the logbook. This car is a clone. It's a clone of another car that's out there travelling on the road somewhere.
2 cars with 1 number plate.
2 cars with 1 number plate. And it only took us a morning
To do that.
to prepare it as a clone.
I would have bought it. I probably would. I mean, if I was looking for a 1.3 Escort, I would have bought it.
For that money? Yeah.
For 500 quid, I mean, it's actually a good bargain.
Are these windows genuine?
The windows, we've actually etched out the original registration number, and we've etched in a Moody number next to it.
So if you can do this to a £500 car,
what can you do to a £40,000 car?
Yeah.
This scam is so devious that individual car history checks through companies like HPI, RAC and the AA can be caught out by a well-disguised clone, but they're well worth doing because they might just highlight some of the minor discrepancies in the paperwork. The best way to tell is to just be thorough and use the tips that I've shown you today. And if you can't trust yourself to do that, then call in a qualified vehicle inspector from one of the motoring organisations. It may set you back 150 quid, but if you unsuspectingly buy a clone and the police trace it as stolen, then you'll lose your car and all the money you've forked out on it.